And hello, everyone,
Right.
and welcome back to the TVM crew. Today, I'm so excited because I have with me Zachary Smith, filmmaker. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm so happy to have you here. I think
I'm
you
ha
have very interesting things to tell us today, right?
I
And
would hope so.
yes, you told me that you make your own writing,
Yep.
directing, and post-production. That's
Yep.
that's impressive. Can you tell us a bit about your work and how do you do it?
So I'm an independent filmmaker. I'm a kind of independent person as well. I've always had the mindset and mentality that if you want to get something done, you got to do it yourself. So I've learned to
Yes.
wear many hats throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
So originally when I got started, I mainly just wanted to do post production because I've always been a big fan of like special effects and like cool stuff like that. Like growing up,
Yes.
seeing movies like you know Predators, stuff like that, explosions. I've always thought, man, this stuff's cool. I want to
Me
do shit
too.
like that one day. So by the time I got into college, I went with the mindset that, all right, by the time I graduate from school, I have to
Mhm.
learn how to do the Ghost Rider effect. That is my main goal here. And thankfully, I was able to accomplish that goal. It was a pain in the
Yes.
ass, but I accomplished it. So now I
Yeah.
know how to light a skull on fire.
Huh.
Visual effects wise, not practically. I'm still learning. I've actually started doing like a little bit of practical effects here and there, but for the most part, I can do most things visual effects wise, except for liquid generation. Liquid generation
Mhm.
is a pain in the ass.
Yes.
But to make money and stuff like that, I've always been good with like editing and just most post production wise. So
Mhm.
that's why I just focused on that because I mean most people need editors. So I figured, well, that's how I'm going to make a living up for the most part
Yeah.
until I can start my own business and get everything the ball rolling that way.
Wow, that's so impressive.
Thank
And
you.
I, yes, I know where you're coming from because to me it happened more or less the same. Like when I started with all of this, I didn't know anything because I have a degree in chemistry. That's what I do. Has nothing to do with my job, with anything that I do. So to build my website, about marketing, about the building up trailers, any everything. I had to learn, like so I understand what you say. Like if you want to do something, you can learn to do it yourself most of the time.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's a powerful thing, and the internet is such a great resource for
oh
doing that.
yeah.
Granted, I still decided to pay the crap ton of money to go to film school. And by
Mhm.
the way, anybody who wants to go to film school or anything like that, you're going for the networking. You're going for the just
Yes.
making connections. That
Mhm.
is the only thing you're skipping the PA position is what you're doing.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Anybody who's thinking of going to college for film work, use the internet. You'll save yourself a lot of money unless you want to network.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, long live to the YouTube tutorials.
agreed.
Every time I need to do
There's
something, I just watch the
they're
tutorial.
free.
Yes,
Use them.
yes, exactly. Yes, I think, yeah, maybe a lot of people is starting to learn things from internet. Even if you have to pay, it's cheaper. Like you have to pay courses or things.
No, like because I
Yeah.
remember when I started learning visual effects in high school, like I was just kind of
Yes.
dabbling. Like the first visual effect I ever learned was Goku's like Kamehameha blast. And then
Yes.
after that, I learned how to do lightsabers and stuff like that. Like those were like when YouTube tutorials were just starting to like pop their
Yeah.
heads up.
Yeah.
So I mean, by the time I got to college, like they were pretty like vast and stuff. But now it's just like if you want to learn anything, YouTube, you can literally learn it on YouTube. It's amazing. They have to do a bit of research and cross-reference a bunch of stuff, but it's there.
Yes. It's amazing.
It is. It
The
truly
most
is.
unsuspected thing you can learn. Okay, so tell us about your work as a filmmaker. What kind of influences can we see?
So, as a filmmaker, I like to do a lot of horror stuff, very darker themed things like I know it's a trend to do a lot of, at least I feel like it is, to do a lot more comedic, lighthearted stuff these days. But I've always been a fan of like the more
Yeah.
darker, serious, and visceral type content that makes you feel, I don't know if this makes sense, uncomfortable but comfortable at the same time.
Yes,
Like
yes.
I'm just making that connection in my head now, and that sounds weird, but that is exactly what I like.
Yes,
Like I guess a recent example is Dead Space. Like I got the new Dead Space recently,
yes,
and
yes,
stuff like that is like the first Dead Space, not the second one, but the first one. It is such a great game. It's dark, atmospherically,
yes,
visually. It's you're ripping things apart and stuff like that. I love.
yes,
Like I grew up with slashers like Jason, Michael,
yes,
Pinhead. Um,
exactly.
I've in a weird way I've based my ideology and religion around the predator's culture, hunting stuff. A
Yes,
very honor-based
yes,
system is what I mean by that. Like the whole honor-based,
yes, yes.
don't do things that are unworthy. Like I saw Predator, I think when I was like 4 years old, and I fell in love.
Yes.
Um, yeah, stuff like that. So that's kind of like how I work, how I think, and how I
Hmm.
go forward with a lot of my work. So
Yes.
yeah, I would say that's how it is for
That
me.
sounds like a lot of fun,
Oh, it
actually.
is.
Yes. And
At
how is
least I would hope.
for people who we are so ignorant about the process of filming something, what's the process from the moment you get the idea of a film, of a short, um to the moment you actually have it? How do you develop all of that?
So
What are the steps?
so the first step is just thinking of a bloody idea at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll think of something and then I'll sit down and then I'll start to write it.
Okay.
And that could take anywhere from a day to a whole bloody year for me. And you never know. There are so many scripts that I've started writing but just couldn't finish. But then, of course, there are the scripts that I have finished. So um, I'll go, for example, my short Tortured Soul. Like, I did that one so many years ago. So I wrote it. And well, first thing I need to do. All right. So after I wrote it, I figure, all right, what the hell do I need for it? So I
Yes.
get everything together that I need for it. Then I got to figure, all right, how am I going to film this? So there's getting locations,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you have the ability to get all the special effects in order,
Yes.
stuff like that. The pre-production side is my strongest state. It's when you get to post-production where everything goes to, all right, so this is why I do this. I have a lot of people who help me with my pre-production and production stages.
Okay.
Like I make sure I would say at the end of the day, for those, you want to make sure you have the best crew possible that you could trust.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of great friends and filmmakers that I work with that help me make the projects that I make. And without them, everything I do would just be a pile of crap, essentially. So at the end of the day, if it wasn't for them, I would not be where I am today. I met most of them in film school. I met a couple of them, over the course of my film career and everything like that. But that's one of the benefits of going to film school. You will probably meet a
Yeah.
lot of friends who you
Yes.
will work with in the future. And yeah, I love them to death, and I would not be here if it wasn't for them. So
Oh. Yes, I guess that all of you might be in the same situation, like
oh
you
yeah.
need your help, right? So it's a teamwork because at the end there are some kind of jobs or work or art that you can just do it on your own. You make a drawing, you only need yourself. But
Yep.
in your case, you need a lot of people involved, and I guess that you need to be a team, right?
Oh yeah. Making a film is a huge team effort. Like no film is successful because of one person. So
Yeah.
for pre-production, you of course got the script writer. You've got people who make these big binders. There's a whole bunch of documents that go into planning. Like let's see, there's color code layouts. There's
Yeah.
overheads. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And then production, you've got grips, gaffers, your special effects guys, your ADs, your assistants. There's so many roles that go on set. It would just blow your mind. Like if you've never been on a set before, the amount of work that
Yes.
goes into just making one shot, just lighting one shot,
Yes.
is just so
Yeah, yeah.
hilarious.
I can imagine.
there's a line that people like to use. It's like if you want it to look good, it's going to take time. And trust me, that
Yeah.
is true. It is going to take a lot of time. Lighting a shot is no easy feat. That I trust my DP and my gaffers to do that. I suck at lighting. That is not my specialty. I am the guy who makes stuff explode in post,
Yeah.
adds the set. Like I do all this stuff later. You do all the stuff during. We have a balance, and I like it that way.
Yes. Well, it sounds like a very fun experience. Anyway.
It can be fun or it can be super stressful. It can
Yeah.
easily be both.
It's a weird combination.
Indeed.
And how do you choose your cast, your actors?
So casting, I host auditions. There since I live in Chicago, there's plenty of places where you can publicly
Okay.
host them. There was one time where we tried to host them in our apartment. We got like 3 people to show up, and I'm pretty sure it's because it was some random dude's apartment. So we're like, never do that. Host something at the what the hell is that place called? It's not the Laugh Factory. It's if you're in Chicago and you need a place to host auditions, it's that place that's down the street from the Laugh Factory. Most
Yeah.
comedians will know what the hell it is. But yeah, we public host auditions. We put out a call on backstage.com. That place is amazing.
Hmm.
And yeah, like over the
Yeah.
past couple of things we put out, we've had like at least 100 people like apply to audition for a thing. We're just like,
Oh,
whoa.
wow.
We went from like having 10 people want to audition to just out of
Yes.
nowhere, just like 100. But we're just like, damn.
Wow. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, no, we were happy. That
Yes,
was
of course.
just like a huge wake up call. Like, holy crap, we're actually being successful.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you look for in an actor?
So one thing in particular I will look for is one, of course, how well you play, like for the role that I'm casting you in, but also how easy you are to work with during that
Okay.
audition.
Yes.
Like, do you show up on time?
Yeah.
How do you carry yourself? Stuff like that. Because the one thing I don't want to deal with on set is somebody who's going to cause problems,
Yeah.
make trouble, or for the love of God, be a drama queen. Like that's one thing I refuse to. I will fire an actor on set if they decide to be one of those pampered drama. Because I have heard horror stories when I was in school. Like there was
Yes.
one actor that
Yes.
actually required somebody to wipe their ass. I'm like, how
What?
did you put up with that? Yeah, I shit you not. That was a story I heard from somebody's senior film. I'm like,
Oh.
no. Like I learned a lot working on other people's seniors in school that I'm like, nope, not dealing with that shit. You give me any problems, I will fire you. I have no problem recasting or throwing somebody in last minute. Because making films is already stressful enough as it is.
Yeah.
I don't need a crew or cast member adding on to that problem. So
Yes. Wow.
just please be respectful. We will, of course, always be respectful to you. Keep in mind your time constraints, stuff like that. It's a huge balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you remember which one was your first horror movie that you watched?
My first horror movie that I watched. Okay, the first one that I can remember was Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the first one that I can remember off the top of my head. I know I've seen probably a few more before that because when growing up, I didn't watch Disney movies or stuff like that. So when I was with my mother, I would watch horror movies. When I was with my grandfather, I would watch action movies. So Schwarzenegger was my hero growing up.
Yeah, you made a mix.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, actually, they combine well.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
That's why my two favorite genres are horror and action.
Absolutely. So was that your first contact with horror?
Probably, I would say like I've always I don't know why, but I've always just had an interest in like dark visceral stuff, like all that like like because my mom tried showing me Barney stuff like that, and I just wouldn't sit through it. I don't want to watch this. I want to go watch the other stuff that we were watching before.
Yeah.
Or like even when it comes to games, like video games are probably the only place that I've played like any like child like related things because I grew up with Spyro, but that's just because the damn game was fun.
Huh. Okay,
Spyro Croc.
yes, and what? Tell me about that because I like gaming a lot too.
Yeah.
What
So
game do you play?
I have been playing video games since I was 2, and hell, even in the video game department, my very first video game ever was Mortal Kombat 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the very first video game I ever played. The very first video game I ever owned was Digimon for PS1. I have been a PlayStation
Yes.
fan since the original PlayStation days, and I've grown up playing it ever since.
Mhm.
Um, I've expanded to PC nowadays because, well, PC you can literally play any console generation at this point. But I
Yes.
also have my PS5 right there. But yeah, no, gaming is a huge part of my life, and I would say that influences more work, at least more of my modern writing than most movies, because I find myself like enthralled in game, like the stories of games just seem to be more captivating to me.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't know, it like because funny enough, at first, like growing up, I always thought I wanted to be a video game maker because I used to be
Okay. Yes.
addicted to video games. Like video games were my entire life. Like I was the cliche, I'm not gonna go outside, I'm not gonna do anything. It wasn't
Yes.
until like I was like midway through high school that I got a kick in the ass and it's just like, all right, I need to get my shit together, figure out some other stuff to do because sitting around playing video games, not gonna make a career off that. Even though some people did, like they managed to get that YouTube thing going. I had no idea how to do that at the time, but
Yeah.
I discovered filmmaking and I started going out with buddies and just doing other stuff. But for the most part, video games are still a huge part of my life and I fucking love them to death. I got collector's
Mm.
editions of the like I got my Thor hammer over there from God of War Ragnarok and a
Yes.
chainsaw controller from Resident Evil over there that I use to this day.
See,
And
yes.
yeah, like it's just I fucking love them, and
Yes.
I may try to expand into making a video game at some point. But holy crap, is that a
Mhm.
pain in the ass?
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I chose filmmaking over video game making because it's
Okay.
way less stressful and I can do more by myself.
It's funny, I didn't know that. Is it
Yeah.
that stressful? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've always loved visual effects and stuff like that. Like I learned that I wanted to do stuff like that pretty early on, but I did try doing like 3D modeling, 3D animation, like early stuff like that.
Yes.
And I did not like it. And then there's programming. There's so much stuff that goes into video game making that I just do not like. That I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I know this is not the career for me. I love playing the games. I do not like
Yeah.
making them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge difference.
Actually, I'm very ignorant in the world of making video games, so I don't know. I remember when I have played video games also. I think it was my first video game. Well, I was going to say the PS1 was my first
Mm-hmm.
video game that I was
Yes.
like the PS1. I was like 6 years, I think I was when I got it. And I was crazy with it. I had a racing game because I love racing games. It just, it's I don't know. I love the rally kind of racing, and then I had a one. It was like a kind of 3D platform game about a crocodile that has to.
Croc.
Croc, you know it.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know
I had
Croc.
it. Yep.
Oh, you're
You
the
collect
first
the
person that I find. You know Croc.
Yep, you collect the little orange dudes as
Oh,
well. Yep.
yeah.
I had that game and I played both games as a kid. Those games were a lot of fun.
Oh, I have it. I still have the physical game, but
Yep.
it's worth nothing now because you can do anything with it. But I played. I mean, I had all these afternoons fighting the monsters that I was so scared. I was like covered with a blanket, like not wanting to watch, but playing. Fighting the monsters in Croc
Yeah, no, that was a fun game.
was awesome. I still remember it, and it's been I don't know, lots of years, like wow, 25 years.
Oh, it's been a while. I haven't
Yeah,
played that one
exactly.
in
And
years.
then I don't know if you had played in do you know the computers that they had like this big box in the screen? I mean the like the old computers.
Oh yeah, the
Yes?
old Sierra. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I
those things are.
the first thing I played there was the Prince of Persia.
Oh man.
Like that walking stick.
Yeah, the very pain in the ass one. Oh, trust me, I know. No, when it came to old school computer games, like the two games that one was Carnivore's Dinosaur Hunter.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was on a hunting craze back then because of Predator, and I also love dinosaurs, so that was like the perfect game for
Yes.
me. And then also Doom. Doom was a huge game that I played
Yeah.
growing up.
Yes.
Yeah, but when it comes to PC gaming, those are like the only two, other than some point and click adventures that a friend of mine got that I just played with her.
Yeah. It's it's surprising how these things can just make a fond spot in your memories, right?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
yes, it was so different. Now with my kid, she's 9, we play in Minecraft, Roblox, Among Us, all these things that we can play with 2 accounts, you know?
Yeah.
She has her account in Steam, I have mine, you know? And it's very different because it was like more difficult before. Yeah, I remember my PS1, it went well for a while, but then I had to, when I put the like the CD on it,
Mhm.
I had to spin it and shut and switch it on so it actually worked.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh man, that would have been brutal to have to deal with. I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have even known that was a problem. It's like, all right, well, the disc reader isn't working. I guess I'm screwed because I didn't know how to fix things back then.
Yes, but I remember just
Oh,
putting the CD, starting it, just spinning it and closing and staring at the TV to see if it had actually worked.
it's like, is it gonna cut? Nope. All right. Well, let's try again.
Yes, exactly. With those thick like the memories, you know, that you had to the
Yep,
to
the memory cards. I
yes, the
remember those.
memory
I
card.
still I
It
still
was
have a few somewhere in my basement.
that they were so thick. You put it on
Actually,
top. Yes. That's something that they can understand this now, right? Like
yeah.
yes, it was you had a like a deeper relationship with your devices and your like the a couple days ago I saw one of these images, fun images that are around Facebook, that it was a cassette, you know, like the music
Yep.
cassette, and a pen, and it said, if
Oh
you know the
man.
relation between these two, you're older than
What?
Google.
Most of us, yeah. That's a thought.
Yes. And so I'm older than Google.
That's a thought.
That's a thought, exactly.
Yep. Man.
Yes, my kid wouldn't even know what the cassette is. Like, what do you do with this? How do you open? How do you switch it on? You know?
Like I've always said, if I ever have a kid, I'm forced because I have my own like I built a mini PlayStation 1 and just put a bunch of games on it. I'm like, if I ever have a kid, he or she is being forced to start with that and they're working their way up the gaming chain like I did. So they can appreciate the advances in technology.
Yes, exactly. It's I don't know. I think that we really had a very fun
Oh yeah.
period. Yes, because now everything is so easy. You know, you want a game, you look it up, you search for it on Steam, you got it. And you just
Yep.
play. It's I remember having this collection of cassettes that I had recorded, you know, from a CD to the cassette, or and you made all the paper on the cover. Yeah, I made it and write all the songs, and you know, You had like your
from
little masterpiece collection.
custom cassettes to custom CDs, and then you
Yes.
put them in the binder, and then you're just like, all right, you catalog everything. It's like, oh my god, all right. So which one had this song? Because that's what I feel like listening to. You flip through everything. It's like,
Exactly.
all right, here it is. And you got to make sure you get to the right song. It's like, oh man. Now you just open Spotify or your MP3, click, bam, done, spoiled. One of the good things about modern technology.
Yes, absolutely. But I don't know. It's like a kind of magic, a charm of right. You were like more active
Oh
in
yeah.
your right. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we had to be more intuitive because we're the ones who had to figure this stuff out. Our parents weren't going to figure it out to save our lives. They come to us asking, "Hey, how does this work?" Oh, god damn it! Give me a minute. Let me figure it out. All right, go through all this settings. Are here you go. Get it out of my face. Go back to my
exactly.
game.
We are problem solvers.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. I am because now I guess that in your country and mine, the timings in history are a bit different because we're behind you, like you're ahead of time. But here, like I remember I've been teaching English here in the schools and different like something aside, and somehow they end up knowing that I play games. And this is something that started with my generation. That now I'm 34. My generation is the one that started playing video games. And I was 6 when I got my PS1, you know? So normally the parents at the school are older than me, like 10, 15 years older than me. So they have no idea about video games. They don't want to have nothing to do with it. What happens that kids nowadays, they want to play games, and they just buy them, the Nintendo Switch, the PS, the Xbox, but they don't want to know anything about, like, you play, it has
Yep.
nothing to be with me. The thing is that when they discover that I play games, they go crazy, like, oh, there's a mom that plays games. And I heard that kid saying his mom that he was my student, my English student, and he said his mom, because my kid is Alex, said, Alex mom is a video game freak. Why aren't you like that? And I'm like, you're not supposed to say that about me. So it's, I don't know, that we have like this kind of charm.
No, it's nice. Like I wish that I mean, I don't know because I was back when I was like younger. I was very independent. So even if like my teachers and my like
Yes.
more adults play video games, I probably wouldn't have cared back then. Nowadays,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome, sweet. But back then, I would have been like, it's just because I was more focused on me and like my
Yeah.
small select group of friends. It's just like, all right, yeah, we're gonna come over to my place this weekend. We're gonna play
Yeah.
this and stuff like that.
Mm.
But no, like hell, I remember when I was in high school, we found out one of our teachers was a gamer. We're just like, no kidding, what are you playing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice how gaming has become more widespread. Because I remember, like in the like, as gaming was coming up in the world, like there were so many people who were just like there were stigmas against say, oh, games cause violence and stuff like that. Like those stupid arguments. It's just,
Yeah.
oh man, no. Games don't cause violence. Games
No.
prevent violence. They are violence quenchers. Trust me. You would rather them get their rage and anger out on there than go out and do it in the real world.
Yes.
At least
Yes,
that's the way I look at
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely, because and I'm also the perfect example for that because I really love like action movies, explosions, uh shootings. I mean, I like all of these kind of movies and also in the games, but in me as a person, I'm the quietest, like the most.
Yep.
Yeah,
Same
you'll
here.
never. Yes. And like with my kid, his friends always want to invite me in Minecraft. When I'm playing, tell your mom to get in, but I'm the TNT lady. I blow up everything I see.
Yep.
So is that video games are violent? No, they just allow you to do things you can do in your real life and you have fun. And that's it.
Yep.
Who's violent? It's going to be violent anyways. They don't need a video game to make them
Yep.
violent, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and also thinking about video games, just turning into movies, where do you think horror is going in talking about movies, like the kind of movies that we have nowadays?
So I think at least in the like when it comes to like Hollywood and stuff like that, it's
Yeah.
very meh. But on
Yeah.
the independent scene, it's great because that's where
It's
all the
great.
creativity is happening. That's where you're getting filmmakers who, as I like to say, actually give a shit about their projects. Because
Yes.
like there's so many fucking horror movies and like I'm using video game terms here now because that's just my mindset. Sorry about that. AAA genre of horror movies, and it's just like, oh, we're gonna make movies to make awards now, and I hate that mentality.
Yeah.
It's like you're not making a movie to entertain people. You're not doing anything fun. You're doing it just because you want to be popular or you
It's
want to send a
commercial.
message or quote unquote send a message. But it's nothing. It's boring. I walk out of the movie and I just go, well, I just wasted what a
Yes.
ticket's like $15 now, depending on what theater you go
And my
to.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
Believe it or not, as you get older, you realize time is valuable. So spend your time wisely, kids.
Exactly.
Trust me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would say in the independent market, things are booming. I would say the independent market for all fields is where everything's growing because so much mainstream shit is just pissing people off. Back to video games, like AAA video games. Most of them release broken, buggy, and if you're spending $70 on a fucking AAA video game and it comes out broken, like you're just left pissed off.
Yes,
Like most people
exactly.
don't want to buy new stuff anymore because it's just like, well, how bad of a state is it going to be released in, or how much DLC am I going to have to wait for to purchase later? Thanks, Activision. Or
Exactly.
but it's yeah. So like people go on Steam and they look for all these wonderful indie games. There's plenty of independent creators out there who are making genuine content that they care about and is made to just be fun. And at the end
No
of the day, I think that's just
commercial, no nothing.
yep.
Exactly. They're
You want to
doing it
make
because it's what they feel.
yes. You want to make something fun. You want to make something that people are going to enjoy. That's something that I want to do.
Absolutely.
I want to make something that people are going to walk out of the theaters one day and go, I had a lot of fun with that. I might be scarred for life, but I had a lot of fun with that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We need to the underground horror. It's conquering.
Yep.
Yes. We're going to go places.
Oh, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree 100%.
absolutely. It's so lovely to talk to you, but we need to wrap up. We're running out of time.
Okay.
I will link all your work and all your the links so everyone can find your work, check you out.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today.
Thank you for taking the time to interview me. This was an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we need to make another one. We have a lot of things to talk about.
Oh, I'm definitely down. You let me know
Right?
when and where, and I'm absolutely willing to come back anytime.
I will. It's a threat.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, then. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.